feeling a warm sense of flattery from his recognition. I wouldn't describe it as talent, Scott, just a matter of patience. I'd be glad to check it out. Wonderful, maybe later in the evening? His gaze held for a moment, and a gentle heat rose to my cheeks. I pushed the feeling away, certain that I was just deluding myself. Once we finished dessert, Scott led me through a sliding door onto a large patio illuminated by gentle moonlight. The soft evening breeze lightly touched the trees. Blending with the delicate scent of jasmine flowers from Amanda's garden, David and Amanda stayed indoors, completely absorbed in their discussion about potential vacation spots. Scott guided me to a line of roses, fighting to thrive under the soft glow of outdoor lights. He crouched low, studying the leaves, and gestured for me to come closer. "Notice how the borders are becoming yellow?" Scott inquired, his voice now gentler, infused with a sense of true interest. I moved in a bit, suddenly conscious of how close we were. One heartbeat raced for reasons unknown. "It seems they could use additional nitrogen," I suggested, working to maintain a calm tone. Scott faced me, his look a mix of gravity and tenderness. "Valerie, I can't help but feel a sense of longing for the connection you share with David. After 2 decades of being married, Amanda and I appear to have grown distant from each other." His unexpected truthfulness took me by surprise. "Every relationship experiences its highs and lows, Scott. It's completely natural." He considered it deeply. "Perhaps it is. Recently, I've sensed that something is absent." The pain reflected in his gaze struck a chord within me. Just as I was about to speak, his hand brushed past mine. The brief moment left me feeling unsettled, conflicted between surprise and an unexpected emotional reaction. "Apologies," Scott said as he instinctively withdrew, a true sense of shame evident in his tone. "I never intended to overstep boundaries. My feelings were in turmoil and I found myself pausing." My first reaction was to pull away, yet a stronger urge pushed me to extend compassion instead. "It's okay," I murmured softly. Even I was taken aback by my own words. "You're simply expressing the truth." Scott raised his gaze, a sense of appreciation warming his striking face. We experienced a serene pause, recognizing the underlying tension, softly yet clearly. I experienced a profound sense of being understood like never before, even though I couldn't quite grasp it at the time. Stepping back inside felt like a dream. David's comforting smile felt familiar, yet it bore an unfamiliar heaviness that I couldn't quite identify. I caught a glimpse of Scott from across the room, observing how he had withdrawn into his own world, keeping a respectful distance. The night ended on a pleasant note, yet my thoughts were still ensnared in the intricate web of emotions that had unfolded. As David lay beside me, peacefully asleep, I found myself staring at the ceiling, my heart troubled with unanswered questions. Was my response merely a reaction to the surprise of attention, or had Scott stirred something deep inside me that had long been asleep? Could a fleeting bond really shatter the peace I had treasured for so long? With a mix of unease and intrigue, I came to understand that our once enjoyable and steady life now seemed somehow lacking. Amidst the turmoil, I felt a profound awakening within myself, akin to a tender bud unfurling to greet the morning light, delicate yet unmistakably vibrant. Little did I realize that this unforeseen evening was just the start of a journey into self-awareness, a journey marked by fleeting moments, lingering gazes, and the silent bond that had begun to form between Scott and me. What lay ahead would test every limit we had meticulously established, compelling us to face realities we had both been evading for far too long. And you won't imagine what unfolded after that. In the days after that unforgettable dinner, my life seemed to remain the same on the surface. However, hidden beneath the comforting rituals, strolling through the garden at dawn, sipping tea while lost in a book during the afternoons, and sharing old films with David at night, a subtle disquiet started to grow inside me. I often caught myself revisiting that moment on the patio where Scott's hand lightly touched mine and his surprising confession lingered in the air. Every memory awakened feelings I had almost lost touch with. It had been years since I experienced such a profound sense of being truly seen or wanted, even if just for a moment. Yet hidden beneath the surge of these emotions was a persistent sense of guilt. David was my husband, my forever companion, and I had cherished him deeply. However, there was something in Scott's vulnerability, his honesty, that resonated with a forgotten part of my heart. On a bright afternoon, I found myself deep in contemplation next to my beloved lilacs, carefully trimming away the faded blooms. The garden, typically my refuge of tranquility and clear thoughts, felt different today as my mind remained restless. Valerie, someone is here to see you. David's voice broke through from the back porch. As I turned, my heart raced and felt like it was lodged in my throat. Scott was positioned close to David, wearing a relaxed blue button-down shirt and jeans, his demeanor friendly yet cautious. My heart raced at once, yet I compelled myself to remain composed, welcoming him with a calm smile. "Apologies for showing up without notice," Scott said softly, moving closer with care. "I wanted to discuss those roses further. However, if you have a lot on your plate, it's okay." I responded swiftly, feeling my voice reveal a trace of anticipation. David grinned, blissfully ignorant of the turmoil brewing silently between Scott and me. With a chuckle, David stepped back into the house, leaving the gardening experts to their work. Scott and I remained still, our quietness heavy with the things we didn't say. Birds sang joyfully around us, unaware of the underlying tension simmering just below our seemingly happy facade. Finally, Scott cleared his throat, shattering the quiet tension between us. "Valerie, I feel the need to express my apologies once more for what happened the other night." He started softly, with genuine emotion in each phrase. "I violated a boundary, and the guilt has weighed heavily on me ever since." I examined his expression closely, observing a true sense of regret reflected in his blue eyes. A weight settled in my chest, an unusual blend of relief and disappointment swirling together inside me. "No need to say sorry," I comforted him gently. "Nothing occurred." He nodded gently, moving in closer, his voice soft and barely audible. "However, an event did occur. We both sensed it." My breath hitched as Scott's eyes held mine with an intense focus. His voice was gentle yet sincere, with every word thoughtfully selected. "I understand that it's not right, Valerie. I've attempted to push it aside, but thoughts of you keep creeping in," he admitted softly. "It's been ages since I've experienced a bond like this." A surge of warmth washed over me, quickly followed by a tide of uncertainty. "Scott, I'm in a committed relationship. Content in my marriage, I understand," Scott replied softly. "I would never want to cause any upheaval in your life. However, I wanted you to understand that you stirred something within me. It was an experience I never thought I would encounter again. For a fleeting instant, a weighty silence enveloped us, interrupted solely by the whispering leaves above. My heart raced in my chest, caught between my commitment to David and the undeniable attraction to Scott's sincerity. I turned my gaze, feelings clashing intensely inside me. "Your honesty means a lot to me," I finally murmured. "Your words resonated with me profoundly. However, we should be careful to respect the boundaries that are important to both of us. It's unjust to everyone involved." Scott let out a breath, visibly grappling with his own inner turmoil. He reached out gently, offering his hand in reassurance. I accepted it briefly, the gesture filled more with quiet understanding than anything else. "I honor your choice," he said gently. "What I truly desire is your companionship. If that's all we can share, it's sufficient." I nodded slowly, yet the depth of his gaze implied a different story. "Friendship," I whispered, gently letting go of his hand. "Nothing else." The weeks that followed were filled with a silent chaos. Scott and I shared brief messages about gardening advice or light conversations regarding the weather, making sure to keep our interactions within limits. Each interaction, no matter how fleeting, quietly deepened our emotional connection. I discovered that I was eagerly awaiting his messages, a mix of excitement and fear coursing through me. One evening, David casually brought up that Scott and Amanda would be attending the company-sponsored gala event downtown with us. My heart pounded at the idea of encountering Scott once more, especially in a bustling space where our unspoken connection could be hard to hide. As night fell, the grand ballroom came to life with gentle melodies, twinkling lights, and elegantly attired couples moving gracefully among one another. David led me inside, his hand softly placed on my lower back, offering a sense of comfort while remaining oblivious to the chaos brewing inside me. I noticed Scott right away from across the room, our eyes locking instantly, sparking a fire deep in my heart. During dinner, the conversation moved smoothly between the four of us. Amid the cheerful laughter and courteous conversations, Scott and I exchanged fleeting, secretive looks, each glance filled with unspoken tension, each quiet smile holding profound significance. Following dinner, the guests made their way to the dance floor. David, ever the charming gentleman, offered his hand to Amanda for a light-hearted dance. With polite laughter, they mingled with other couples under the sparkling lights, leaving Scott and me in solitude. We paused for a moment as Scott softly extended his hand, his voice calm and welcoming. Is it all right if I... Despite a wave of hesitation, I accepted his invitation to dance, aware of the emotional weight behind the moment. My heart raced as we started to sway softly, the surroundings fading away until it was just Scott and me. "You look stunning this evening," he murmured, his tone filled with warmth and genuine affection. A wave of warmth rushed to my face, and I could feel a lump forming in my throat, overwhelmed by sudden feelings. "Scott," I started gently, feeling the treacherous road we were nearing. "We decided to stay friends." He leaned back a bit, gazing intently into my eyes, his look both gentle and resolute. "Our friendship has helped me see you more clearly as someone I admire and respect deeply, even as I navigate the boundaries of what's appropriate." We kept progressing together at a leisurely pace, our closeness both comforting and emotionally confusing. My thoughts shouted warnings, but every fiber of my being pulled me toward this man who saw the parts of me I kept concealed. Before I knew it, the music had come to a close. We stopped, locking eyes, quietly recognizing the fragile line we had stepped over. "I can't believe I'm feeling this way," I murmured with a tremor in my voice. Still, I find myself unable to resist. Scott reached up as if to offer comfort, his expression filled with concern. I stepped back, gently, realizing the boundary we could not cross. "I understand, but we will honor whatever choice you make, I swear." I distanced myself, burdened by a mix of desire and doubt, quietly appreciative of his consideration while still tormented by the intensity of our shared emotions. As I returned to David, I put on a courteous facade, smiling while internally grappling with the undeniable truth that was growing inside me. Unbeknownst to me, the occurrences of that night would thrust our fragile relationship into a deeper struggle, an unforeseen truth that would alter the course of our lives forever. You'll be shocked by what unfolded after that. Weeks passed, each one deepening the silent yearning and uncertainty within me. I made every effort to hide my emotions, to push them down under gardening tasks, early strolls, and regular dinners with David. Scott's words resonated gently inside me, awakening feelings I hadn't recognized in years. On a gloomy, rainy afternoon, while I was sifting through old photographs in our warm sitting room, the sudden chime of my phone caught me off guard. My heart raced, sensing immediately who it was. Scott's message was short but impactful. "Valerie, do you have a moment to chat? I assure you this is significant." My breath caught in my throat, a swirl of anxiety and anticipation coursing through me. Following a brief pause, I responded, "Absolutely, where is it?" He proposed we meet at a secluded coffee shop on the outskirts of town, a place where we could converse in private yet still uphold the dignity of our commitments. I consented, my heart racing with doubt, my mind conflicted but eager to grasp the reason behind his insistence. The cafe exuded a cozy charm, enveloped in the aroma of freshly brewed coffee and the gentle murmur of hushed dialogues. Scott sat at a hidden table in the corner, his hands tightly clasped, his eyes reflecting a depth of emotion I had never encountered before. He spoke softly, inviting me to take a seat with a subtle gesture. He appeared anxious but firmly determined, his demeanor grave. "What's going on, Scott?" I inquired gently, struggling to mask my anxiety. "Did something occur?" He let out a deep sigh, his hand brushing through his silver hair, his eyes reflecting a profound sorrow. "Amanda is aware?" A wave of dread washed over me, my heart pounding with anxiety. "Understands? What is it about?" "We?" Scott gave a slow nod. "She felt an unsettling presence at the gala. Yesterday, she faced me with her concerns. I couldn't deceive you, Valerie." I shared all my feelings with her, my emotions, our exchanges, despite the fact that nothing has truly occurred. A cold dread enveloped my heart, anxiety swelling within me. "Scott, I'm at a loss for words." "You don't need to say a word," he said softly, his eyes filled with a desperate hope. Amanda and I came to a significant agreement. I felt it was important to have an honest conversation with you and discuss what lies ahead. What happens next? I spoke softly, a wave of fear washing over me at the thought of losing the tranquil life I had so diligently safeguarded. Scott grasped my hand softly, calming my shaking fingers. His touch brought solace, but it also deepened my inner conflict. I assured Amanda that I would honor any decision she chooses to make. Valerie, if you decide to leave, I assure you I'll understand. If you experience even a fraction of what I feel, then we must confront it truthfully. His honesty was evident, and his openness was profoundly touching. My eyes welled up with tears as I fought to speak. Scott, you've awakened emotions I believed were long forgotten. Yet David has been my entire world for more than 30 years. He met my eyes with a quiet intensity, his hand briefly touching mine as we both silently acknowledged the complexity of our feelings. I understand I would never want you to compromise that trust. Can you truly refute the connection we came to recognize? Shouldn't it be recognized? At the very least, my heart was torn, caught intensely between devotion and desire. In my heart, I understood that Scott had a point. The connection we had built, subtle yet intense, couldn't just disappear. We had a responsibility to ourselves and our partners, to be honest. After a lengthy silence, I finally spoke, my voice trembling with sincerity. I can't ignore my emotions. You've brought back memories of aspects of myself that I had nearly lost touch with. However, the thought of causing David pain fills me with fear. I fear losing him, and I don't want to cause any pain to Amanda either. Scott nodded, a profound understanding reflected in his expression. I share those feelings. However, I think that concealing the truth ultimately causes more pain in the long run. Perhaps sharing the truth will guide us all in determining our next steps. We lingered in quiet contemplation, feeling the heaviness of his statements. The rain gently tapped on the cafe windows, echoing our subdued contemplation. I must speak with David, I finally murmured, a mix of relief and fear washing over me with the confession. He is entitled to the truth. Scott held my hand tightly for a moment, then let it go softly. No matter what unfolds, Valerie, I will always be by your side, whether as a friend or something deeper. I won't rush you, but remember that you're not facing this by yourself. We separated with a silent agreement, feelings intertwined yet distinct. As I navigated the somber, drizzly roads on my way home, I mentally prepared for the difficult conversation that I both feared and understood was unavoidable. David had a right to know the truth, no matter how painful it might be. That evening, following dinner, as we sat in silence together in the living room, I gathered my strength to say something. My heart raced uncontrollably, a wave of anxiety surging through me. David, I need to have a conversation with you, I started softly, my voice revealing my anxiety. He gently set down his newspaper, gazing at me with a hint of worry. Is everything okay, Valerie? I inhaled deeply, my heart heavy as I gazed into his familiar, reassuring eyes. Recently, an unexpected event took place. I didn't engage physically, but emotionally, I found myself connected to another person. His face transformed rapidly from bewilderment to a subdued pain. His voice carried a softness, but there was an underlying tension. Scott, taken aback by his insight, I slowly nodded, a sense of guilt constricting my heart. Absolutely. David took a deep breath, his gaze far away but steady. At the gala, I couldn't help but observe the way he gazed at you and the way you responded to him. I never intended for things to unfold this way, I whispered, as tears streamed down my face. You have been everything to me, David. I care deeply for you. Yet this sensation has stirred something deep within me, something profound. I needed to be truthful. He observed me with a contemplative gaze, a subtle sorrow reflected in his eyes. After a brief pause, he softly took my hand, catching me off guard. Thank you for being truthful, Valerie. You had the chance to keep this from me, yet you chose to be honest. That is significant. His reaction caught me off guard, amplifying the remorse I was already experiencing. David, I deeply regret what happened. He lowered his head, his voice soft but resolute. There's no need to say sorry for simply being human. 3 decades is quite a stretch of time. Feelings evolve, individuals evolve. I feel pain indeed. However, I get it. You are entitled to truth as well. My heart shattered silently, engulfed by his kindness and understanding. I'm feeling lost and unsure about my next steps. I feel adrift. David held my hand softly, letting out a deep sigh. Allow yourself some time. Discover what your heart genuinely desires. Regardless of the circumstances, my deepest wish is for your happiness. His kindness broke me softly, filling me with thankfulness while intensifying my sorrow. At that moment, I understood that the real power of our connection lay in David's steadfast regard for me as an individual. We remained in silence, the soft ticking of the clock serving as a reminder of how transient, delicate, and valuable our lives truly are. No matter what decision lay ahead, I realized that David's kindness had transformed everything, revealing opportunities I had never dreamed could exist. As the serene evening slipped into the gentle embrace of night, I realized that the toughest decisions were yet to come. The journey ahead might be unpredictable, yet truthfulness had illuminated the way, leading to genuine self-exploration and development. However, I was unprepared for what followed, a last disclosure that would change the course of our lives forever. In the days after that candid, deeply moving discussion with David, everything felt strangely unreal. Every day seemed delicate, hanging in the balance between the warmth of what once was and the unpredictability of what lies ahead. David and I shared our emotions, anxieties, and aspirations with a depth we hadn't experienced in a long time. In an unexpected way, this openness brought us nearer, ironically strengthening our connection despite the ambiguity of what lay ahead. Scott and Amanda embarked on a journey towards understanding, opting for counseling to delve into their intricate feelings. Scott and I decided to keep our distance during this sensitive time, allowing ourselves the opportunity to truly contemplate without any pressure or expectations. On a bright afternoon, as I cared for my garden, the one sanctuary that consistently offered me peace, David silently came over, carrying 2 cups of tea. He settled next to me, softly offering the steaming cup. "Valerie," he started softly, his voice calm but tender. "I've spent a considerable amount of time reflecting." I examined his expression, feeling a mix of resilience and fragility in him. Same here. David's gentle smile brought a sense of comfort, his familiar presence soothing my nerves. I came to a significant realization. Our marriage is rooted in love, alongside friendship, respect, and honesty. Perhaps after all this time, we should give each other the space to seek joy, even if it requires accepting transformation. My eyes welled up with tears at his honesty. "What do you mean, David?" He grasped my hand gently, his face reflecting genuine emotion. "I care for you deeply, and I want you to discover what your heart genuinely wants, even if it means giving you space to reflect on the emotional confusion this situation has stirred within you. No matter what unfolds, you are worthy of joy." We both feel that way. As I sit in my garden, enveloped by the colorful blooms dancing softly in the warm breeze, I find clarity in the reality of our path. Living, similar to tending to my garden, demands bravery, endurance, and a willingness to embrace transformation. Connections go beyond mere habits or obligations. They are defined by genuine connection, empathy, and consideration. At times, what appears to be unattainable initially guides us to precisely where we are destined to go. I looked over at the home where David was engaged in easy conversation with Scott and Amanda, their laughter floating gently in my direction.